NewsNation political analyst Chris Hahn joining us right now. Chris, I know that you knew Senator Feinstein well. Obviously, her passing sending shockwaves throughout the country, especially in Washington and in California, her home state. What are the implications politically? I mean, what do Democrats need to do? Obviously, we want to remember her legacy, but also, too, this was something that was possibly in the works, even though the news of her passing was shocking.
It is this. First of all, this is a very sad moment. This was a woman who was a legend, who did great things for the state of California, the city of San Francisco, and the nation. And even though it comes as no surprise, we all were aware of her failing health. It's always hard when it actually happens. So my heart goes out to her constituents, her family, and everybody who knew her. I'm a little shaken by it myself. But I will say, politically speaking, Gavin Newsom has a tough choice to make, right? There's a hotly contested primary going on in the state of California. If I were him, I would not weigh into that primary. I would pick somebody who is not likely to run again. My advice to him would be to beg former Senator Barbara Boxer to fill out the remainder of her former colleague's term so that we know that she will not be seeking another term and the primary could fill its course. That would be my advice to him. I don't know if that's what he's going to do. I don't think politically it changes the balance of power in the Senate. In fact, it won't at all. And I think that, they're going to move on. But make no mistake, this is a huge loss to American politics. This is a woman who inspired millions of other women around the country to public service, who has been a witness and a participant in history. And the whole nation, regardless of party, should be acknowledging the achievements and the accomplishments and the impact that she left on America. I know that we will probably take the next couple of days and spend a lot of time talking about her, and I hope we remember her fondly.
And I think everybody can appreciate this moment, that even if you didn't agree with her politics, even if you're a Republican, even if you don't like the choices she made, I mean, this is a sad day. She was a force, and her family is now missing a very important woman in their lives. I have to say, it's hard to see you shaken, Chris Hahn, because so often when we have you on, you're on, with humor and you're a bright spot in our mornings. You knew her personally. What was y'all's relationship, and what are you feeling this morning, and some top memories that come to mind for you?
Well, I can't say I knew her well, right? I mean, I was a Senate aide. She was a Titan, even like when Chuck got there. Like, this was a legend, right? I'm a graduate of the University of Albany. The most famous graduate of the University of Albany was Harvey Milk. So even as a college student at the University of Albany in the early 90s, when she had just risen to the United States Senate, I was aware of her and her legacy even in San Francisco, because as a SUNY Albany student, in particularly in politics, you learned about Harvey Milk and you learned about what happened in San Francisco then. So when I first met her, it was like meeting, a major celebrity politically. So me and many of the other young Senate aides were always in awe of her. So I can't say I had the relationship I had with her that I had with her colleague Barbara Boxer, who I have actually a very close relationship with, and of course my former boss Chuck Schumer. But being around her and seeing the work that she's done in the Senate, and knowing how much she'll be missed, it's something that, look, we knew this was coming, right? She's been in poor health for the last year. She's been absent from the Senate a lot this year. And of course, the advanced age of 90, a lot of us would sign up for 90 right now. And we knew it was coming, but when it hits, it always hurts, right?
Well, yeah, and I was thinking, because for me, whenever I've met anyone in one of these high offices, and I think it's true of all of us, we can tell when they bring a new atmosphere into a room. I mean, they have such a presence, such a charisma, because there are so few people who could fill these kinds of shoes, who could stay in the politics game for as long as she did and stomach it, and feel the vitriol of people who don't agree with you and really rather hate you because of some of your decisions. So
she's been in the Senate since 1993, and the Senate in 1993 was a much different place than the Senate of 2023.
Yeah.
Right. The Senate of 1993 was a Senate of pure collegiality. And when she arrived, she was the only woman there. And it's an amazing journey that she has been on, both, with her local political career, rising up through the ranks of San Francisco politics, which is no easy task in and of itself, to becoming one of the most powerful U.S. senators in the nation.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.